In this ever-changing age of media, radio stations seem to switch formats every few years. But one station here in St. Louis stands the test of time. KSHE 95 is celebrating their 50th anniversary all this year. It's a big deal for the DJs, the musicians, and of course, the fans.
One radio station.
And how big they were to helping bust us wide open.
A great relationship with both the radio station and the city.
KSHE rocks! Real rock radio in St. Louis. Two things that go hand in hand.
People would go away to college, they'd get drafted, they'd leave, to get a job, and they'd come back 10 years later and they're like, we knew the one constant here in St. Louis was going to be KSHE.
That old song. More KSHE classics. 50 years with the same name at the same place on the dial.
It's 2 minutes before 12 midnight under St. Louis. This is Don Corey from KSHE in Crestwood.
It started in a basement, evolved at the legendary studios in Crestwood, and became the go-to place for rock bands to stop by and make a name for themselves.
We all came out on stage that night all wearing a pink shirt with the headphones.
The on-air personalities are pretty much rock stars in their own right.
Oh, really?
John Ulett, 41 years at KSHE.
When I first started here at KSHE, you came in and you played anything you wanted.
A lot has changed since U-Man started, but much has stayed the same.
Nobody could believe it. We were recently talking to some people in the industry from out of town, and even like Roger Hodgson of Supertramp, who was just in here recently. We tell them the station's 50 years old, still playing the music they're playing. They can't believe it.
Favazz, 26 years working at KSHE, but a lifetime of being a fan.
Well, I started listening when I was 12, and at some point I figured out that this is what I want to do and this is where I want to work.
Most of his life at just one job, still just being himself.
We just try to be ourselves, and that's what the listeners expect. They don't want the radio guy talking like this. There's no way. That person would fail in an instant here at KSHE.
Klose started way back in 1972 when he lived down the street from the studios in Crestwood.
So I came in and applied one day, and they're like, do you have any experience? And I said, no. And they said, all right, thanks. So I came back 6 days in a row and just kept bugging them, and they finally hired me.
He practically grew up at the station, developing his on-air personality on the fly.
We all had little specials. I had one called Klose's Cut Above that I would play every morning at 9. And it was a long track, and it was originally set up so I could go to the bathroom.
All the legendary jocks admit that it's one thing that has kept the station on the air all these years. Yes, it's the music, but mostly it's the loyal fans.
They're proud to say, hey, I listen to KSHE. They wear KSHE stuff, and when you think about that kind of loyalty does not exist for any other radio station, certainly in this town and probably the country.
They can tell you about when I was doing mornings and John Ulett came on and was my newsman, and then when Johnny made the move to mornings, and when Favazz came, and they know the history of this radio station kind of better than we do.
You have to give credit to our listeners. Our listeners they've just grown up with the radio station. They're dedicated to the station. They know just about everything about the station, and they want the station to succeed. They want it to succeed just as much as we do.
For many people in St. Louis, KSHE has been a part of their lives for most of their lives, and it's not going away anytime soon.
It's like rock and roll history.
God bless the KSHE dream. Rock and roll's not going to die, but neither will KSHE.
I'll be honest, that was a lot of fun to put together. All the stories behind the scenes were better than the stuff you saw on TV.
I'm sure.
Tomorrow, November the 7th, is the actual 50th birthday. They're promising special guests throughout the day, plenty of surprises as well. And Fox 2 News in the Morning will be there live tomorrow. So if you want to see the celebration before you listen in the car, make sure you join us between 7 and 9. And if you want to see more history of KSHE, just head to our website at fox2now.com.
Great story. They are St. Louis. Well,